Welcome to the SMB Community Podcast with your hosts, Amy Babinchek, James Kernan, Amy Luby, and Carl Palachuk. Produced by and for the Small Biz Thoughts technology community. We're dedicated to making every IT professional a successful IT professional.
All right, welcome back to the SMB Community Podcast. This is James Kernan with Kernan Consulting, and I am here with my good friends, Carl and Amy Babinchek.
What up?
Carl Babinchek and Amy Babinchek. Hello, gang.
Hello from the Czechs of the world.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, so I'm in Sacramento where I just have a brand new porch, which nobody cares about except me. But I have a new concrete pad in front of my house. So now I have to figure out what to do with it and how I want to fancy it up.
Well, you can't just say that without photos. I need to see a photo of it. I'm jealous.
Well,
maybe you
it's
drop a
nothing
link.
to be jealous of, but we can post a photo if that's necessary.
Yeah, there you go. I like projects like that. So good. You guys all doing well? So obviously Carl's looking very dapper today, and he's got a new front porch. So I know he's in a good mood. How about you, Amy? What's happening with you?
I'm in a good mood. The boat is launched and the garden is doing well, and these things make me happy.
Yes, I've enjoyed following your garden on Facebook. So
Thank you. Thank you.
Amy's the only person I know that intentionally grows her own mushrooms.
I
And
do.
they're not psychedelic. They're just
They're-
mushrooms.
They're just for eating. Yeah. I'm putting in a second mushroom bed in my backyard, actually. So I have this goal that, my little suburban backyard should be a tiny self-sufficient farm. And I have fun doing it. So
Yeah, I love gardening. That's my sanctuary as well.
We have too much dry, hot air here to be growing mushrooms. I'd have to break all the laws of watering in order to keep them alive.
Yeah. And in California, you get fined for that type of stuff. Amy, you and I were chatting before the call today, but you had a really great question of the day that came up. Do you want to talk about that?
yeah, it's not my question. This question is one that I saw on LinkedIn from Janet Schijns. She's taking a survey, and I'm pretty sure it's still active. So we'll put that link down in the show notes. But her question that she has for everyone essentially is, how do we think that AI is going to affect our service delivery? Is it going to save us money, cost us money, or have no change? And, it honestly was a question that I had not given any consideration to until I saw the question. And, I did sit and think about it. And I don't know that for me, I don't know that it will have a change in the cost of service delivery. I think it may potentially change the way we deliver services, but I don't know that it's going to necessarily save us dollars when we do so.
Well, and it is specifically within the next 2 years. And so I think that the easy answer is it won't change much in the next 2 years.
But when you fill out the survey, you do get to see the other survey's respondents, and most respondents are saying that it is going to save them a lot of money. And I was really surprised because I was definitely the odd person out on the survey, at least to the point it is today.
Yeah. Did they elaborate on how they thought they would save money, or did they just share their opinion? They think they'd save money.
It just that they would save money, right? The survey just
Okay.
has a little box for you to check, and she does encourage comments on that survey, but I didn't happen to see any that were there. But
I think
I'd be interested in knowing why people think that they're going to save
Right.
20 to 40% of their service delivery cost because of AI.
Exactly.
I
could
think
see-
what's funny is I think that'll end up costing them money because somebody's going to come up at one of the shows with an AI plugin to your PSA to go look at all of your tickets and recommend this and that and help sort out priorities and, so forth and so on. We'll take that service delivery to the next level. I don't know if it'll happen in the next 2 years, but that will then be a product you will spend money on. So,
yeah. Or happy thought, a lot of the existing manufacturers will integrate that and make their technology better with the use of AI. Either hopefully it'll happen that way because it'll be less expensive. But yeah, it's a good point. I can see AI making the experience better and making it more effective, but I have a hard time seeing the cost savings of that.
Well, I always think the future is very bright. So I think the future is very bright with AI. I think that if IT consultants adopt training programs and train their clients where it's useful and where it's not, in particular, on the chat-based stuff, set up a program to train your clients and you'll be able to make some money on it. But all these people who are worried that AI is going to take over the world or take over all of our jobs or whatever, that won't happen in my lifetime. I think that what always happens with new technology is it creates more jobs than it destroys.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of job changing, but in the end, I think there are more jobs, not fewer jobs. Everything in human history to this point supports that notion. So I think you're spot on, Carl.
Yeah. Yep. I agree.
This podcast is sponsored by the Small Biz Thoughts technology community. Check us out at smallbizthoughts.org. Forums, templates, and checklists are just the start. Our community includes all of the best-selling books on managed services in all available formats, plus free training, members-only programs, and the best business training available to managed service providers anywhere. Plus, we have weekly, live, members-only Zoom calls. The average member saves more than 200% of their membership cost each year. We are totally dedicated to your success. Just because you're in business for yourself doesn't mean you have to go it alone. Join us today at smallbizthoughts.org.
So what else is in the news?
I saw a really interesting article from Hive Systems. Somebody actually posted it in my ransomware and security group, and it's the chart of password security, right? How secure is your password? How long would it take the hackers to hack it?
Mm-hmm.
And specifically, they updated it due to new versions of GPUs out there, but also the advent of AI. And can we apply more intelligence to the hacking of your password? And the answer is, of course, yes, they can. And it drastically changed the password landscape. And then it's really a great article, which we have the link to in the show notes as well. I really encourage you to read it because it's a super well written article, talks about all the different methodology of how you can measure these things. My favorite and how that changes this, chart that we all see out there. My favorite one was all the way at the end where it says, and what if you actually entered your new username and password into a phishing website, or you use the same password across multiple sites, or you use passwords that have recognizable words in them and patterns, and then the whole thing goes to immediately hacked, right?
Right, instantly.
Instantly, yes, that was their word, instant, right? I don't care how many characters are in it, it is instantly hackable by today's technology. So it's a really, really great article to read.
I was chatting with some people about, the fact that a lot of the links you see for Zoom, the password hash is the same. And you're like, well, that's because it's the same password. And the bad guys don't need the password if they've got the hash, right? So we were even, I think Amy was on a call where somebody couldn't remember the password, but they entered the hash and it let them in. So,
wow.
That's how this worked. That's why putting the same thing in on two different websites, it's like, oh, okay, we got, there's James on two different websites, same hash. Okay, we're good to
Yep.
go.
Good to go.
Yep. Yep.
So Carl, you said that Nvidia is absurdly expensive. Are you trying to buy Nvidia stock?
Oh, no. I think when Nvidia went up, whatever it was, 28% in one day, it was because of the love of, like, they basically said, look, our earnings were better than expected, which always happens. And then people were like, oh, this is our buy-in to AI. And so I think it's really a play on AI. But it means that their market cap is 952 billion, which is a dramatic jump when you compare it to, things like Ford and Alcoa, so forth. The 204 price, the PE ratio is just ridiculous. I mean, it is over the top.
Wow.
Microsoft is 36 and Apple is 25 or 27 or something, so I think it is so dramatically overpriced that at some point people are just going to say, all right, I was hoping that this would keep going up and it didn't, so I'm taking my money back, and all that cash will disappear. So
Wouldn't it be a good time to split Nvidia for them to split their stock? Like,
I don't know enough about them to know if they are a splitter type stock. Some stocks are not.
yeah.
Yeah.
They could double their money though, perhaps. They did.
Right.
Yes. Well,
But
if they split, you'd probably have half the people would just sell everything.
yeah, but I mean, if the interesting thing, what you just said, it's related to what we were talking about before with AI. Isn't it? I just find it fascinating that GPUs are the processor that the internet's starting to run on, and the CPU is regulated to our mobile devices and our laptops and such, and that there's that split, and that's what's driving these unexpected companies like Nvidia so high, because they kind of have a lock on the market.
Well, the GPUs are also what they use because in order to process graphics in 3D at a fast speed, right? That's what you need. What is at the core of doing bit mining for Bitcoin, right? So there's kind of there's too much pressure on the market because of Bitcoin, and then you throw in a sudden awareness of AI, and everybody knows, oh, we really do have a chip shortage.
Well, thankfully, cryptocurrency is moving away from having to run on GPUs at high speeds, ever increasing speeds, because that was a losing effort. I wonder if AI will run into the same problem that cryptocurrency ran into, where it becomes too expensive to process more information.
That's an interesting question, because with Tensor and others, Microsoft has a huge AI they've had for, I don't know, 3 years now, where you can publicly buy into their AI, programming. And so you don't have to have your own chip in your closet doing any work for you, right? And Amazon has the same thing, and Google has the same thing. So you can buy your flops somewhere else.
You can do the same thing for mining too, though. You can go buy time on a GPU, whatever they call it, farm.
But it's better. I guess the Bitcoin folks, they think it's better to just buy all the spare electricity in a province in Canada than to invest in somebody else's technology.
Did China kick them out? They were sucking up all the electricity from the new dams that China put in, but I think China kicked them out finally.
Maybe they did. I actually didn't. I'm not aware of what the current status of that is.
Thankfully, I don't have to be aware of such things either, because I have never been a miner of Bitcoin. And the crypto market's getting too complicated. Did you see that Coinbase has now been sued by the SEC? And I found that really interesting, because Coinbase has been the company that has been the loudest about saying we need legislation. We need regulation for our industry. And the SEC is like, oh, we're suing you.
Well, but it's in part because there's securities. They're saying Coinbase, some of the coins that they trade are actually unregistered securities.
And I think that's the part where Coinbase has been saying we need new regulations to manage this stuff. So it'll be interesting to see how it makes its way through the courts.
Right.
But part of the problem is if they're securities, you have to separate them from your non-security business. But now you're an investment bank, right?
Well, the folks who love the coins also love being outside the norm of civilization. So as soon as they get regulated and treated like an investment, then they're just going to go find something else to do.
Mhm. Yeah.
That could be.
Yeah.
All
We
right.
got
So in the news today, Connectwise may or may not be up for sale. It seems like
I
it's
saw
a
that.
major rumor hitting all the news media this morning. What do you guys think?
It's interesting. What was most interesting to me is what the anonymous poster was saying on the Reddit article that I saw about that they're looking to sell and they just can't hit the price point they need to hit because of a certain criteria, but their profits are flat and their growth numbers are flat as compared to their competition. And in some industries, 10% is good, but I guess in that space, it's not good enough. Their private investors are looking, for much higher, 40, 50%. And what was interesting too is why they said they were flat. And it really highlighted the inside scoop was more just poor customer service. And to me, business can be so simple if you do the right thing and you take care of your customer, right? If you do the right thing, take care of your customer, good things are going to happen. Might take a little bit of time, but good things are going to happen. And I think the anonymous poster was kind of hinting that's not the case. So what are your thoughts, Carl?
Well, I've done a few blog posts on private equity in our industry recently, and this is 100% expected. When you get to the point where you can't give somebody the 20 or 30% that they require, they're going to move somewhere else. And I have mentioned a couple of times that private equity is going to leave our industry when they can no longer take money out in bucketfuls. And so they may not leave completely, but if they start gobbling up some more and you combine some more, then you'll have one owner for everything. And that there are some regular things that private equity does. And the first thing is, if you think about it right now, how do you maximize your return? Well, you fire a bunch of employees, that's an instant boost to your profitability. Then you stop new development, right? So all those people who have had, a lot of the sort of good smaller companies, they let everybody vote on which things need to be improved next, right? Well, you just throw that away because that's irrelevant. And so improvement freezes. And then, it's one thing at a time. You make moves that make money short term. None of those things are consistent with making money long term and reinvesting. I can't remember. Nvidia, speaking of Nvidia, invests something like 20% of their profit back into research and development.
Yep.
That's huge. Over half of their employees are in research and development. You don't do that when you're funded by private equity because all of that is future money that might happen. And what they care about is immediate money that happens now. And so they don't have any reason to have to build a long-term strong company that will last for 100 years.
Yeah.
You think, is this a cautionary tale for Kaseya? Because, gosh, talk about a company who has had a really bad spin in the news that just won't give up about how MSPs are feeling poorly treated, and they also have been gobbling up companies. Connectwise gobbled up companies. We see there's a lot of similarities there. And I think one of the keys is how well you integrate those into a single image for your company, because all of those companies you gobbled up had raving fans. And the key is to bring those into a cohesive whole. And I think if you fail at that, your profits are gonna show it too. So I suspect that Kaseya, if they're not anyway, they should be paying close attention to what's happening.
Oh, they are definitely paying attention. And Kaseya, this is a cautionary tale for them because, if folks aren't familiar with the MSP Reddit, it is filled with anonymous comments about Kaseya. And a lot of these folks feel like they have to be anonymous because they don't want their clients to know how shaky the tools are that they have used to build their entire business.
Yeah.
And if you suddenly say, well, what happens if pick a PSA, if they just lock up, shut the doors, and cease to exist? Where's your data? How do you back it up? How portable is it? I think we really need to start focusing on choosing vendors very, very carefully in this industry. And that includes portability. And if there's no portability, keep going to the next vendor. When I think about like choosing somebody to run an organization, I want to know, is my data going to be portable? If I pick a key product like QuickBooks versus Xero versus Custom Larry's pretty good finance package, which one of these is most likely to be portable if I change vendors, right?
Mhm.
So we need to be doing the same thing, because ultimately you're going to have to very soon be responsible to the federal government for how you run your business. And one of the things is, how sustainable is your business model? And if you
Mhm.
rely on vendors who don't have sustainable business models, that means your business doesn't have a sustainable business model.
Isn't this a case of, what do they say, like nobody ever got fired for investing in IBM? These are the two largest companies that we have out there. They seem like they should be the safe bet, but you're right. I think the winner here seems to be, in my very unscientific browsing of Facebook and whatnot, is Ninja One. Boy, do I see a lot of partners moving in that direction.
And Halo PSA as well. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well,
They,
and that's only true to the extent that they don't also go after private equity money.
right.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's
Well,
it's such an interesting point, Carl, of what you've talked about. It reminds me of so many things, but the point of reinvesting your profits back in your business, that's how I built my business. I didn't borrow money from other people. I built it, I reinvested the profits back in the business, and I always tried to grow things that way because I didn't want to uh, make bad long-term decisions to get short-term results. And private equity will do that. Or when you get too many hands in the cookie jar, if you're privately held, and then even case in point, publicly traded companies. I was a contract executive for a firm for about a year, and it was my first time as an executive with a publicly traded company. And I continually battled the CFO to fight for what was right, as opposed to, they wanted to make bad long-term decisions to get short-term results. And to me, that's not sustainable. That's not the long-term vision that I want to be a part of. So I think that's really important. And it goes just back to what I said earlier, just doing the right thing. And it's something that we all need to look out for, because it seems like
Right.
there's more consolidation every day.
Well, we had talked about leadership earlier. One of the best bosses I ever met in my life, he built up a company, and he wanted to sell off a piece of it to somebody because he built it up to the point where it needed some investment to take the development to the next level. and it was needed money basically. And he was super successful, but he interviewed company after company after company, and he rejected their offers because they were either going to fire some of his employees, they were going to completely change the code base. There were like certain key things that he believed were part of their long-term, 20-year success. He eventually settled on QuickBooks and sold them what became the QuickBooks point of sale system, was his company. But it's funny because I know nothing about Intuit except from my experience with him. I know that they're a good company that is well run and pays attention to the long term. That's all I know, and I only know it because knowing this guy who had rejected so many offers. And he could have certainly sold to or taken money from private equity, and he clearly didn't want to do that because they didn't check any of the boxes he was interested in.
Yep.
And private equity, by the way, we should have a whole show on this, doesn't have to be that way. This is just, we're experiencing one way that it can be implemented, but many industries don't have the experience that we're going through right now.
Yeah.
Please like, share, subscribe, tell all your friends, and we will see you next week on the SMB Community Podcast. Thank you for tuning into the SMB Community Podcast. If you found this useful, interesting, or fun, please subscribe, share with your friends, and give us a thumbs up on your favorite social media. Please check out the show notes at smbcommunitypodcast.com and give us your feedback.